Okay, if you know me at all, you know that I am like an animal activist, especially for hummingbirds. And some of my driving questions, it says, do our animals have a future? How can we increase the survivability of endangered species of hummingbirds? Due to the encroachment of the world's hummingbirds' habitat, they are running out of places to live. There are over 300 species of hummingbirds in the world. We only have 12 that will migrate through the northwestern parts of the United States during the summertime. That is not very many hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are pollinators, and bees are pollinators. They actually have to ship bees across the world now in order to pollinate our crops. That can be extremely devastating to the humankind. So I'm project. Wild where their habitat has been destroyed. My students are researching the areas in the western United States where there is no longer any hummingbirds. The fires that have been in California, Arizona, parts of Colorado. I was even in Colorado 2 summers ago, and the wildfires, you could smell them where we were, and the fires were 5 hours away from us, which causes the hummingbirds to be extremely stressed. They have a very high metabolism, and they have to go in torpor every night, which is a type of hibernation, to lower their metabolism so they can survive. They have to eat an extraordinary amount of food every day just not to actually just to die. So they are very vulnerable at night when they have to sleep because they're in a semi-state. They're like perched on a little branch, and trees and predators, hawks, owls, any kind of predatory animal at night can get them. They can fly. They are one of the most extraordinary animals on the face of the planet. They can fly up. They can fly down. They can fly sideways. They can fly even upside down. And they can do that in a hovering motion by doing a figure 8. So they are extremely fascinating creatures. My kids have all actually getting the passion. They really don't have a choice because that's all I talk about. We have mobiles that they did as one of the sections of our projects, and they're hanging all over my room. They have been kind of ingenious. Even the kids that didn't know how to do anything have got some of the most extraordinary little mobiles in my room right now. That's my contact information in case anybody would like to send me a message about hummingbirds. Our little badges. About me. And Glenda was talking about CHS being family. Well, and if I can't stop, I hope I don't cry, but CHS really is my family because I have, my parents are gone, my grandparents are gone. I have one aunt who is 85 years old. I have a sister and 2 brothers, and I have 1 son. None of them which live near me. They live in Dallas or further away from that. I have 1 son, and he's in this picture. We were actually in a cave this last summer. And my husband and I, he is extremely absorbed in all the ISIS things. So he's busily learning how to load his own bullets and do all that kind of stuff. So he's kind of an extreme in his own style. So I mean that HS is my family. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here. You look at this map, you can see where the birds are not. And the birds are not in the western parts of the United States. And if the have been so bad in the east, that's not really conducive for them to live very well. So they are running out of habitat. So I thought up this great thing which has turned to 8, although it sent us in another direction. A woman that wrote the book for Pearson called me, well, actually called Betty Farrow, our secretary. And she comes to my room, and she's all in a tizzy this week. And she said, this lady called, and she's not very happy that your kids have been emailing them and want to send flowers to them. And I was like, oh, why? She's like, well, she just doesn't quite get it. I was like, well, okay, well, give me your phone number. I'll tell her what it's about. So I got her on the phone Friday, and we had a long conversation, and she told me that she wrote the whole book on hummingbirds, and that she was just wondering why we wanted to send them, flowers. And I said, well, we have been researching because we're from this part of the state of Texas, and we're, going through all the hummingbird societies, and we're looking at your maps, and we're seeing where the hummingbirds are not, and we would like to help reintroduce them into those areas. And she said, well, actually the fires are doing the hummingbirds a favor, because where there have been tall, tall trees, now there's grasslands, and the flowers are reintroducing themselves. And so that gives the migratory path, which they are from. Actually, hummingbirds in the summertime are up from Alaska down into Chile. And so that's where they go back and forth. So in the winter times, they migrate over to the east, which that's still not very good for them. And I said, okay, so what would you suggest that my kids and us in the spring and in next year do? And she said, well, plant flowers where you live and where you live. So that over in the sections of Texas, well, it's kind of covered up where we live. But at the same time, that would give them a path of migration that they could stay here. And if you have hummingbird feeders or you plant flowers, then you could have them stay there until about October, take up all of your hummingbird feeders after October, so then they could migrate, instead of to the east, they could migrate down to where it is more tropical. So that would help them in their survivability. Which is, my kids, each of them had to have their own hummingbird. They had to research them, and I'll just show you information about them, pictures of them. They had to tell us all about that hummingbird. And a lot of people don't understand that hummingbirds don't just eat nectar. They drink tree sap and small insects. So if you have hummingbird feeders at your house and you have mosquitoes, guess what they will eat? Your mosquitoes. They eat, and it's kind of a misnomer that a lot of birds will eat grasshoppers and crickets, but unfortunately that's not true. They have a toxin that they secrete, and they will not eat them. So if you have bad crickets and grasshoppers, then you need to poison them, because hummingbirds and other birds, just unless they're starving, don't eat those because they will hurt them. So like I said, each one of my kids had to do a whole page, and so we have numerous ones that they have done. And then before the lady had called us, each of the kids, and we still are going to send a few flowers over to Arizona and New Mexico. And so, what happened to my page? Well, this page was supposed to have all of the contacts for my kids. I don't know where it went. Maybe it's there in your builder. It may be. Anyway, all the kids have their names, which, like Friday, it was on there. Okay, but they have their own hummingbird. They contacted either a Audubon Society, a Hummingbird Society. If you know Megan Eborn, she contacted a school, and the lady that works in the biology department there, she's going to actually send, we have all these little flowers and seeds, so she's actually going to make a little contraption, and we're going to put it in the mail to her so that she can plant it and send us some pictures. And the last thing that we're going to do is on the back of our little ag department is the little building that they plant their little flowers in. On the back side of it is nothing. So we are going to deem that ours, and we are going to dig up that earth, and we're going to bring in peat moss and topsoil and our little flowers and our bulbs, and we're going to plant all those so we can have hummingbirds at our school. There's hummingbirds like anything that's red. They also like daylilies, columbines, the red creepers, irises, begonias, certain colored. There's a begonia that is yellow. It has red around the edges that they love.